Welcome back. It's always a delight to have you join us. Please get onto our social media handles as always and let us know what you think about some of the topics that we do get to present, to discuss, and let us know as well what is baffling you as well, so that we can be able to align the topical content that we have here on Smart 24 TV to be able to be of better service to you. Now, on our insight today, remember for the last couple of weeks we've been talking about agriculture, we've been talking about the export industry. There's been quite a lot of staff news coming in. You've got funding going over to agro-industrialization. You've got lots of programs in Uganda right now, from PDM to Emyoga, really looking at how does the average Ugandan, the farmer, and those in business be able to tap into the financing so that they can be able to produce not only just for home consumption, but looking at income. Now, one of the things that came out for us in the different conversations that we've had, especially in regards to fresh produce, we have noticed that a couple of rejections of Uganda's fresh produce have been there. And this is something, the increase is actually progressively increasing. We have also heard from some of the fresh produce exporters that there is limited infrastructure. The president has talked about, different stakeholders have talked about the infrastructure that is there, a lot of money going into that. Which infrastructure are they talking about? These are some of the things that we want to air out. Now, to give us insight on this particular topic, we've got Mr. Murangi Richard Mpagi, the senior cargo supervisor at DAS Handling, and he is going to take us and give us quite more insight on the topic today: Uganda's fresh produce rejections, analyzing gaps in infrastructure. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning, Doreen.
How are you?
I'm fine, Doreen.
It's a delight to have you come in.
I'm happy to be here. It is, I think, my first time to be here. I'm so happy and delighted to be here also.
Well, this is Smart 24 TV. We drive business, and we are totally here to change the national, as well as our different setting in regards to Uganda's business.
I'm happy to be here to drive business with you today.
Yes.
For this period, which I will be here, and we talk about mainly the export part of it.
Yeah.
At the international airport.
Like I mentioned before, I need you to give us insight, Richard, because we've had quite a number of rotten eggs being thrown over to your docket as DAS, and different stakeholders coming in, and they say that, you know what, Uganda is not doing its best. The facilities, the cold facilities, are not enough. Yes, but we also know that some of the exporters have told us, you know what, it is not really at the end. It is not the cold facilities at the end that are the challenge. It is really at the beginning, the farm. What is there, and what infrastructure is it? Is it roads? Yes. Because when you say infrastructure, to the person who is watching outside there, sometimes they could be mistaken, thinking that maybe it is roads. Is it roads? The government is pushing a lot of money into roads. So which infrastructure are we talking about?
When we talk about DAS handling, we are service providers. We are intermediaries between the shippers and the airline. So we work between the two. Airlines, which give us business, and we work on the shippers, the export part of it. We have a cold room capacity of around 1,300 square meters. At a go, we can store 600 tons, when we put it in tonnage, 600,000 tons at a go. And this is separated in 9 rooms. When 9 rooms, I'm talking about the cold storage, 8 rooms, and the processing areas, which we do in terms of processing. When we are talking about the supply chain of agricultural products or fresh produce, it starts from the post-harvest activities. Most of our farmers, they do it on small scale. We don't have farmers who do large scale farming. Yeah. And when they do large, which is compared to other countries. You have had, I think you have seen about grapes, oranges and apples, which come from South Africa. Yeah. And they are coming for their own consumption here in our local market because we don't produce them on large scale here, so they import them. The way how they come, how they are packaged, because this is from large like
producers
who do on a commercial basis.
Yes.
And then they do all the other processes from their farm. In terms of machines which they have, they use to process those shipments. In terms of harvesting, packaging, and it is proper packaging.
Everything is properly done.
Everything is properly done, and then it is exported. Even the types of packages, you have seen the palletization of those particular packages.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Uganda here, the biggest problem has been with the small-scale farmers. I want to tell you on record, we have the biggest number of inquiries about export of fresh produce.
These inquiries coming from where?
From different people. Everyone who thinks that because the production is done at that, he thinks I can take matoke to Dubai, and he comes and consults. And he's taking 500 kilos as testing. They do 2-3 shipments and they're out of business. But they fail because they are not following the standard procedures. The standard procedures are not followed. The documentation part is not followed. They just want to jump on something. I have got some cousin of mine in Dubai. I have a brother in London, and they have told me I can take perishable cargo. I can take matoke to London.
Yeah.
And for him, he thinks it is just going to buy matoke from Kaleirwa market, Nakasero market, and pack matoke and take it to. But then, at least when it comes to those who are doing on a large scale, in terms of export, a big tonnage,
They are aware.
they are aware. They are aware of the processes, they are aware of the post-harvest activities, but also it also has challenges. The supply chain starts from
the farm.
From the farm. The transportation of these particular perishables, mainly they are using the normal
lorries.
You have counters with the tarpaulin, covered with tarpaulin, some of them covered with mosquito nets, and then he's delivering a shipment to the airport. And these shipments...
And Richard, and these are things that you see. Yes? These are scenarios that you see on a daily. Someone coming in with a counter and filled with fresh produce, and they are taking this over to Entebbe.
Almost on a daily basis. Very few farmers who have storage, cold
storage facilities.
The vehicles,
yes,
which have cold storage facility. Most of the vehicles, they are using normal vehicles.
Yeah.
And the supply of this fresh produce is coming from different parts. You see, someone has requested you're supposed to supply 20 tons,
Yeah.
but then 20 tons of avocado, you find you're getting 30 from the 10 from Nakasongola.
Yes.
Kabale, you're getting 7. And then by the time
They all come together.
they come together to make a shipment of 20 tons. But these different farmers which you have got them from,
Yeah.
the processes of harvesting are different. How they have packaged are different.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, you find you have got from Nakasongola, from Kabale, from Kisoro, you have used non-refrigerated vehicles,
Yes.
and you are delivering it to the Entebbe International Airport, which has a time limit.
Yeah.
You have seen vehicles breaking down
Yes.
in this other stuck in traffic jam with perishable cargo and exposed to all sorts of weather, sunshine especially.
Yes.
And so by the time they reach at our hold facility, the integrity of this shipment is already compromised.
You know, as you talk about this, Richard, it's I am shocked actually, because I know how long it takes to move from Gulu. I know how long it takes to move from maybe Nakasongola. So I can't imagine the different standards, yes, that are there that have to be met. And someone is packing their pineapples or their watermelons or their matoke into a counter, yes, all the way from Gulu in this heat.
Even the processes of packaging it on a counter. These are people who book, they don't have trained personnel. They just throw them on a counter.
As if they are going to Owino,
as if they are going to Nakasero. So at the end of the day, if you don't follow these processes, and especially sorting them, proper packaging, not exposing them to that direct sun, direct weather contact, At the end of the day, they end up being rejected at the destination.
Let's get some clarification on this. We know that there are sanitary and phytosanitary requirements, right? Is it in regards to how these particular requirements, is it in regards to how the packaging is, how clean they are? Is it different actually from the quality, or it is all bracketed under that?
Can I repeat?
The sanitary and phytosanitary, the SPS requirements, yes, that are hugely there to ensure that whatever gets out of Uganda is going to a different destination complies with these requirements. Now, embedded within these requirements, is it all about, is it things like quality? Is it things like handling? Yes, or it is just about the packaging, the sanitary. What is inside these SPS requirements?
In these requirements, you are supposed to pick a shipment from the farmers, from the gardens. Yeah. Then from the gardens, this shipment, most cases, is delivered to pack houses, but very few who have pack houses in Uganda. From pack house, it is supposed to be sorted from there, inspected from there, and then transported to the airport. Upon reaching airport, there is also agricultural inspectors from Ministry of Agriculture, the MAIV, who are supposed to inspect. But in a scenario where you have over 20 tons and the inspection is done on a sampling basis.
Oh, a lot goes undetected.
A lot goes undetected because you'll pick 4 or 5 samples because there are also many in a queue. And after picking 4 or 5 samples, you find a lot has gone undetected, and in most cases there are gaps. Yes, Ministry has tried and hot fresh to train these sorters from the back house, but there are also other challenges. There is also a challenge of packaging. Most cases, your packaging, there is different types of packages. You will have a package for avocado different from that one of a pineapple because of even the weight. But the boxes which they use, you find they have packed where you're supposed to pack red paper, they have put avocado. And they tie it with normal sisals or strings.
Yes.
And then the process, because you have packaged them, you have loaded from the pack house. From the pack house, you have loaded, you have transported it to the airport. Airport, there is also a process of unloading and then screening. Screening, then palletization. So you find also the integrity of these boxes is already compromised.
Yeah.
By the time you do palletization on those pallets which sit in an aircraft, you find this cargo is falling. Imagine as Uganda, we don't have a direct flight, apart from Uganda Airlines, which is operating now Dubai, Mumbai, and they haven't started London, they are doing Lagos.
But they've said that they're going to start direct to London.
Of course, they are going to start direct to London. So most of the farmers, most of the shippers, most of the exporters are using flights which do transit from different destinations. If I give an example of KQ, Kenya Airways, they transit through Nairobi.
Yeah.
So most cases, you'll need also to go through the same process of loading from an aircraft and loading it to another aircraft. So that is, by the time this shipment arrives at its destination,
it's been handled by so many.
It has been handled by so many, so it needs strong packaging that can sustain that handling to go through the entire process.
You know, I find it very difficult to understand that whereas you bring yourself forward as a middleman, yes, between the airline and whoever is sending, you are there to provide that service. You are aware of these particular gaps. Haven't you highlighted that some of these gaps are critical in addressing? Have you highlighted these? Because we're hearing the cries from the farmers. Yes, we are hearing the cries, not even just from the farmers, because the farmers, basically what they do is to ensure that, one, the chilies are in good quality, they're good order, and then the rest is up to the exporters, basically, who get to. Now, the exporters themselves are totally burdened because they say the majority of them that we have spoken to say we're almost being driven out of business because this infrastructure, we cannot be able to get all the monies to go and buy those very expensive cold chain vehicles. That is what they are saying. So the only thing that we can do maybe is to put a system in place whereby we enable them to come in and get whatever from the outgrowers, the different produce, to the packing house. When it comes to the packing house, quickly we sort it, yes, and then we package it nicely in the boxes that you're trashing now, saying they're inadequate, and then we send them over to DAS. Yes, so who is supposed to foot this bill?
DAS handling, when we have two different types of an aircraft which we handle. The air perishables, which goes on passenger aircraft. Passenger aircraft, at most, it's the turning point. On ground is 45 minutes. 45 minutes to have all the activities completed and then went back. When it comes to passenger aircraft, sometimes we load cargo in loose or in bulk to this passenger aircraft. And cargo is loaded before a passenger even board the aircraft. So for that one, we have a very short time with these shipments. Actually, we are holding areas for these shipments. We are holding areas, and rarely, when maybe these passenger aircrafts are delayed or cargo aircraft are delayed, when we do storage. But in most cases, it is supposed to be a booking, an exporter books with an airline or its agent, and then the processes of screening, palletizing, and then forwarding the shipment to the aircraft. At most, we want to spend it with a very short period of time. When it comes to cargo aircrafts take a little longer, like 2 hours. 2 hours or 3 hours, depending on an airline. And this here, we take large volumes, which are prepared early enough. There is what airlines and handling companies put what they call cut-off time. You are supposed to deliver this shipment, I think 6 hours before, depending on which, earlier, so that we can go through these processes. But some exporters, you find they are delivering a shipment almost at the cut-off time. 1 hour towards the
and what are they citing as the challenges? What are they citing for the reasons?
Doreen, you understand these challenges. They have said you find a vehicle is stuck in somewhere. Jam and he's taking, you know our Ugandan roads. Maybe the breakdown of that particular vehicle. And then we also somehow compromise standards because this is a shipment. Someone has invested a lot of money in and they are affected also in one way or the other. In terms they can even go bad, and at the end of the day, you find 5 shippers are delivering at the cut-off time, and we must go through those processes. So you find the entire process somehow they miss
what should have been done.
What should have been done, and it compromises the standards of the shipments.
So I can imagine, because of the rushed manner in which some of these things are done, that means in fact, and also when it comes to the supervision, when it comes to the fact that there is spot checking, just sampling. So in reality, if at all these different shippers or the exporters actually went through all the standards, the necessary standards in time, correctly as they're supposed to do, you would find that out of the bulk, like we are saying, 35 million or 5.8 million tons of fresh produce actually would not leave the country. You would have more than half of these rejections become rejected right here because they wouldn't pass the standard.
We have done rejections even at the airport. Upon acceptance, there is a shipment which comes and you look at it and you say this is a shipment which cannot proceed.
What particular products can you just give us an example?
It is general. It can be matoke, it can be avocado, it can be passion fruit. But most cases it has been always with heavy shipments. The avocados, the packaging processes. Some of them you find they are already ripening before you export even them. And upon checking, and you find this shipment is already actually ripening, or it's going to be getting bad. By the time you export it, it would have gotten bad.
It would be rotten.
There is also in aviation. I'm an instructor myself, an aviation instructor, and we at DAS handling we have an aviation school. All our employees or staff are trained to handle this according to the IATA standards. IATA is the international standards how we handle this shipment. They are trained in PCR. PCR is a perishable cargo regulations, and they're also trained in temperature control. But all the other shippers, most shippers or farmers, there is lack of training. There is what we call when dealing with this training, there is what we call ethylene. Ethylene is the process of ripening. There are products which are ethylene producers, and there are products which are ethylene sensitive. So give an example of, you have a package of sweet potatoes and avocado. Sweet potatoes, they are ethylene producers. They will produce ethylene. Now, avocados are ethylene sensitive. When this chemicals is produced by the sweet potatoes, it affects the avocados to ripen.
Yes.
The sweet potatoes, for them, they won't ripen, they will rot instead. So the other one is ethylene sensitive. So you find a farmer or a shipper has packaged these things and stored them together, even before the sorting part of it. And they are affected in that way. By the time the shipment arrives at the airport, it is already
compromised.
There
is quite a lot that is ripening just because you lumped them together.
Just because you lumped them together. So there is lack of training. These trainings should also be extended to shippers so that I understand these procedures that are supposed to be followed for different products, because for those, they are separated. Every product has its own way how you are supposed to handle it. That's why even our own cold room is separated in 8. We can't store everything together. We separate, we segregate, depending on this, what I have explained about ethylene.
You want to tell me all this is happening because this is something that, this information, I'm a stickler for information, because where there are gaps in information, you're going to keep having the same cyclical problems. In and out, year in, year out. Why isn't there a trickle down of this information that you wonderfully have because you're trained, your staff is trained, you see this 100 times a week, a month. It is so ridiculous that it is so frequent. Why isn't there a trickle down of this information? Is there a reporting system to be able to report to the necessary governing bodies about this so that they can as well be able to trickle down to the farmers?
Yes.
Or you do your part and that's where it ends?
No, we do our part, but we have had also governing bodies like, I think last week we had the Uganda Export Promotion Board, which had collected some farmers to tour the facility, and then we had a meeting and we did a presentation at the Imperial Resort Beach, I think, hotel. We have always explained direct to exporters.
Yes.
But then the cost of even, you see, we are explaining this in a period of 1 hour. The most trainings takes 5 days, and it is a class of 5 days. So you find you have summarized everything.
To be able to compound all this in 1 hour.
In 1 hour and explain someone. Honestly, it won't get to where you want it to be.
It won't be that effective.
It won't be effective.
We had one of the ladies that gets to export to Canada join us some time back. And she mentioned actually the very same thing that you're saying, that the export board normally holds, it's so sporadic. Their refreshers, their trainings are so sporadic. They are too sporadic actually to make any particular effective impact. Yes, you can't have a year 1 or 2 in a year, and yet you have all these concerns continuously coming up. What other avenue do you think would be taken to ensure that there is better trickle down of information, especially from people such as you, from entities such as you, to the right people, so that they can get down and maybe pressurize for funding in regards to that?
I think we should encourage trainings of these people, especially when starting from the farmers. Do farmers know what to do in terms of these exports? Can they differentiate between a shipment which is going to Kalerwe market and Nakasero and their local markets in the districts, and the shipment which is meant for export? What are things which we are supposed to do for a shipment which is meant for an export? And when we leave farmers, we come to the sorters, they are agricultural inspectors. Some of the agricultural inspectors are also not trained in perishable cargo, some of them. So the moment you train sorters, they know what to do, the farmers know what to do, and at the airport where they are delivering, that is an international airport, there are standards and we all have trained staff. So that means information will be, there will be a flow of activities. And then you can account for these activities because you know these are trained staff. They know what they are supposed to be doing.
You have one of of the exporters. I call them exporters, you call them shippers. Yes?
They are both exporters or shippers.
Yeah. But the reality is we had one such conversation, and he mentioned to us that, you know what, we have all the necessary structures in place. The challenge is the trickle down of information. And then you also have, for example, the agriculture extension workers, not only from these companies themselves, because they normally, enable the linkages. Station 1, where the farmers are located. And then the government also has its agricultural extension workers that it gets to station as well within some of these areas. The challenge now that is coming out is that these particular extension workers, whether from the companies or whether from the government itself, the government bodies, are not adept with the current information. They are not adept with the different current statistics on the rejections. I should be able to get in touch at any one time with maybe one of the farmers in Hoima. Yes, one of the extension farmers from the local government in Hoima at the district level, who should be able to tell me that we had particular rejections in regards to maybe Hass avocado. Why am I interested in Hass avocado? Because we have farmers in Hoima who are producing Hass avocado. If it is oranges, it should be as well. They should know the statistics and the reasons why.
Doreen,
yes?
For your information,
is that too ambitious?
I doubt with this kind of government, the government agencies, especially the Ministry of Agriculture, the attitude of, especially the local government people, the attitude of how they perceive things, and exposure, because I think they must be conducting this kind of trainings to expose these people what happens in every chain process, because I think all their meetings they have attended, all the programs they have, I have never seen a production officer from any of the districts you talk, or any from local governments that are attending these meetings. So in other words, they also lack information of what they are supposed to be doing. And they don't have statistics, I can assure you that.
They don't have those statistics.
They don't have those statistics.
Because it should be statistic driven.
So if you don't organize, even the time they spend, I have told you 1 hour, you're supposed to produce everything. They have brought someone from Gulu, or someone is from Port, or someone is from Kabale. And they has come, there is a workshop for 2 hours. And there are different people are supposed to present.
Yeah.
Imagine what will that person get from that kind of activity within that short period. It will not be effective.
Yeah.
So there is need of extensive sharing of information and trainings to these people, that they are aware of what they are supposed to do and what their role is supposed to be in the whole chain process.
Is there a docket that to which maybe people such as you, organizations or agencies or companies such as yours, are able to upload this information so that at any one time, if there is someone, because we're looking now at the costs implications, and we know for sure the extension workers have been saying they have logistical challenges, the fuel, and this is why they don't get down to the farmers on a regular basis. So in my mind, I'm saying, okay, for us not to have the same cry every now and then, is there a particular platform in which they can be uploading of this information so that at any one time these people, different people, can log in and be able to access this information? Do you do that? Do you have that? Does it exist?
Currently, I think it was mainly on the aviation part. But I think we can talk to our management and we create a website where we share this kind of experiences, so that if anyone wants to go to that, you can get this information easily and read.
Now, that is what we are keen on at Smart 24 TV. Not only are we looking at the gaps, these are gaps literally that are cyclical in nature. In some of our insights, our business insight episodes and sessions that we have, we are very keen on finding out why are these gaps consistently there, what can be done, and who takes the blame in matters such as this. Charles, if you were ever at any one time to get into export, assuming that you aren't, what particular fresh produce would you start with? If you were at any one time, and to which destination?
There is fresh produce which are sensitive and which needs a lot of time to deal with, especially when you are dealing with chili or pepper.
Yes.
It needs a lot of sorting. We have a lot of pests which attack this pepper.
Yeah.
And in most cases, you're controlling this pest spread. So there is a lot of sorting for this particular shipment. There is a lot of work.
Yeah.
You must be at your best to ensure that you produce something good that will be marketable outside this country.
Yeah.
So there even other which are, Uganda, we produce one of the best pineapples.
Yes, we've been told, and the sweetest.
And the sweetest. So why shouldn't I go for a pineapple and export the sweetest, which I know and I can believe it works.
Now, there's a reason why I asked that, but before we get into that, Charles, with your pineapple story, let's take a short break and we'll be right back after this message.
Okay.
Man vs. Wife is a cooking competition where we provide the food and the recipes and they get to cook. Guess the holy judges. Man who binds the two of them. A son to a man, a husband to a wife.
Definitely, I'm going to win.
Are you sure?
I try to balance because I don't have issues after this show. So.
Nzikirizibwa okugamba nti byonna bimpomedde ng'osoose kubirya ate ng'olidde ku alaali onaba wanguti.
Man vs. Wife.
Amanya gange nze Namutebi Sharon nga nkolera wano wennyini Saka Kirombe oba Makindye. Empangula gye nawanguddemu ssente mbadde nga nkozesa mobile money nga nsindika school fees w'omwana ku ssomero. Okutegeera nti mpangudde nze mutima neegambye nti kambalinde bamale okujja ndyoke nzikirize nti mpangudde. Kyennyinza okubagamba nti si byabafere webafere gye bali naye enamba eri emu yokka era bw'eba ekukubidde omanya eyo si yabafere. Mpulira bulungi nnyo 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 era ndi musanyufu nnyo. Naye MTN mobile money mbebaza nnyo mwebale nnyo mwebalire.
Together we're unstoppable.
Cooking oil like no other makes your meal so sweet and scrumptious. The taste of Uganda, yeah, the taste of Uganda, the taste of Uganda, yeah,
This is GOTV, and right here is where you can catch the brilliance of Mbappe, the scoring power of Kane, Ronaldo's, and all of the greats fighting for the glory to be crowned the kings of Europe. Don't miss the unbeatable action of all 51 games, Europe's biggest football event, live on SuperSport on GOTV and GOTV Stream. The Euro 2024 live. That's GOTV for you. Love it.
Smart 24, driving business.
Welcome back from the break. Our topic today is still Uganda's fresh produce rejections analyzing gaps in infrastructure. And to give us insight on this particular topic is Mr. Murangi Richard Mpagi, the Senior Cargo Supervisor at DAS Handling. We have spoken so much about the different issues that are existing, but let me just give you just a recap. Around 84% of Uganda's workforce is employed in the rural sector, which contributes 42% of the national gross domestic product and 80% of the export earnings. Also, in some news coming in that is very significant is the fact that at least 5.8 million tons, 5.8 of them literally are getting out on, and this is not even just looking at increasing. Yes, Uganda is now exporting 5.8 million tons of fresh fruits and vegetables worth around $35 million a year. Second only in sub-Saharan Africa to Nigeria, which produces around 11 million tons a year. We've had significant good words and potential mergers and potential investor calls, especially directed towards our fresh produce. Saying, you yourself came up and said Uganda's pineapple is the very first thing that I would pick. One, because it is delicious. It has been highlighted globally about that. Now let me get back to that particular issue. You talked about Chile having so much work in it, and indeed those ones that we have cited, the exporters we have spoken to, say by the time just a little black, yes, that black mark on the chili, it is immediately put aside. But with pineapples, the moment you handle them properly, just it is all about handling and making sure that you have a very good product from the farm, and it is sweet, naturally sweet, no additives, nothing inside it. What are those particular issues if you were to get into this in the pineapple sector, pineapple exporting? What do you think you would be very concerned about, you knowing, Richard, that you have been part and parcel of this? You have seen the different gaps in this system. Now, assumedly that you were to start tomorrow in the export of Uganda's sweet pineapples, what would you fix your efforts on from farm to the DAS coolers?
You see, when I'm to start like today, you need to go through the processes first, the documentation first. You have the facility, the pack house facility. Are your people at the pack house facility trained? Trained. And then after getting all those, after you have trained people, then you look at the service providers who are giving you this packaging, packages.
I would want you to actually personalize it. Yes, I would want you to use I.
Yes, after looking at the service providers, I pick a service provider who is suitable for this product. Yeah. I'm dealing with pineapple. Most our pineapples are big and heavy, a kg plus. Yes. And then that means I will need a very good packaging, the fiber body boxes, which can sustain the entire supply chain.
And this can be accessed here in Uganda?
They can be accessed here in Uganda.
So why is it that there's been different, farmers just don't they know why are they mixing up the packaging? Is it too expensive?
When I was starting, I said the biggest problem are these try and error farmers we get. The try and error. There is a lot of inquiries. Yeah. Someone has started an inquiry, they think they can do it. One or two shipments,
and they're out.
And they're out.
Because they can't manage.
Because they can't manage. There is also need of controlling these exports. Controlling in one way or the other. You say like an export of coffee now. Coffee is controlled by the coffee marketing board, yes. I think. There is a requirement of a permit that you're supposed to get. And that permit, you get it at some good amount of money. Yeah. So you find the market is controlled of coffee. And if I'm Richard and I need to export coffee and they cannot afford the permit of exporting because they don't have the requirements, then I will be forced to go to Doreen.
Who has the permit?
Who has the permit, who has the entire process, and the coffee goes through the normal processes from the word go, and it is on international standards. Yes. But then when it comes to fresh produce, we have so many that can start.
At any one time.
Try and error at any one time.
Oh, and they are disorganizing the reputation of Uganda's
They
exports.
disorganize the reputation of Uganda. You have seen young people who are going to do casual jobs in Arab countries. You find a company is sending around 40 people, 100 people, and each one of them is carrying a sack of matoke.
Yes.
With avocado.
The same with
30 kilos each. They have separated it. They have given each one of them 30 kilos. I have seen it at the airport.
Yes. The same with London, the same with
London. And this matoke, they haven't gone through any processes. Someone has picked matoke from either the market or at home. I think the market separated, given to these people.
As long as it looks good.
As long as it is good. And they are giving them, they are taking them in the pretense of cargo, yes. Personal property,
yes.
For personal consumption. But this same matoke end up in the markets in those countries.
Yeah.
And what do they find? It is a product of Uganda. Without which has not gone. It has everything. There is pest, there is what?
There are pests inside.
Because they have not gone through, they have not been sorted. They don't have any documentation.
Yeah.
But they have found themselves in the market in Arab countries, in Dubai, in Kuwait, others in London, even US.
So in order.
So when they are rejected as a product of Uganda.
So the best way but the officials at the airport should be aware of some of this.
I think they have started addressing this because these shipments will also go without, they don't pay anything. No taxes is collected from them, nothing.
Yeah.
So I think there is a process. I think the stakeholders, other stakeholders, airport stakeholders can be better to answer this.
Are beginning to look at that.
They are also beginning to look at that, and many times the ministry had complained about the airport enforcing this.
Yeah.
So that they can stop this kind of shipping of cargo in that way.
That should be looked into, really. This is something that is recruiting back and putting our name down in the wrong places. Uganda's exports A, B, C, D. But let's get back, Richard, into what we were talking about. Richard is a potential exporter right now within this bracket, and this time a potential exporter for the pineapple. You would reach out, like you mentioned, to different service providers, make sure that you get the right packaging, and then what?
After getting the right packaging, you have got the right packaging, you have all the documentation, there is approvals from the ministry, there is the passing of your warehouse that it is on standards. It has every other aspect they want in a warehouse. Your sorters are trained by the ministry. They are trained, they know what they are looking for, what type of pest are they looking for. After getting to know the type of pest they are looking for, what they are supposed to package, what they are supposed to sort. They have the materials to use in sorting. You have a fully equipped pack house with even a first aid kit where how you categorize your dustbin. What you store in those ones, the weighing machines, the weighing scales, standard weighing scales.
But we know for sure the dustbins, quote unquote, the dustbins are not as effective because what you reject literally goes back into the Ugandan market. Whether it is tomatoes, whether it is chili, those ones of course get back into the chili making the different pests.
And that's why I'm saying every stakeholder in this kind of industry is supposed to play his part. The ministry, the enforcers, the local government people, the market controllers are supposed to enforce this. Honestly, something which is not right for consumption outside should not be right for the consumption here.
Nationally.
I don't wish to ring you go to the market in Nakasero and buy equally bad things which have been rejected to go to the international market.
And maybe it is because there is not a lot of losses that are made in that regard. They know for sure that if at all there is a chili, a kilogram of chili that does well and does badly and is rejected from the other front, there is still someone to buy it. There is still someone to buy it. So they don't make losses.
So that's why I'm saying about, when I was talking about the control processes, unless there is these control processes.
For
the ministry, I have seen it. When they reject, they destroy. And when it is rejected, and the worst part is when it is rejected from countries like London, they will destroy at your own cost.
Oh.
They will destroy it at your own cost. So you will feel the pain of really rejection.
Who? The government or the exporter? Who meets the cost?
The exporter meets the cost.
Oh, that is good.
You are supposed to pay for the disposing off of your shipment when it is rejected.
Yes.
I have seen even the ministry rejecting and disposing it off, because if it is rejected, then it is not right for the consumption. Yes, in the pack house, there is no control at the pack house. So when you're at the pack house after rejecting, maybe the sorters have sorted the good ones, because the bad ones somehow find themselves.
And when I say it is good that they get, the exporter actually meets the cost, I was looking at it from the angle of laxity. If they are lax, yes, as the exporters, and do not go through the proper mechanisms, then it is good that that happens. They get to meet the cost, because long term, short term, they will actually be able to change their approach and maybe go back to the way they are supposed to do things. But now, that good is not appropriate, if at all. It is because they lack the information, because it has been withheld by those parties that have not been able to help them, whether it is MAIF, whether it is service providers such as DAS. If at all this particular exporter, Ugandan exporter, is continuously being fined and meeting these different costs, it is so backbreaking. It is so backbreaking, because he or she did not know that, I'm supposed to do this.
I think, Doreen, you are right about it is time that we need to share information and have effective ways of sharing this information. Either data, you load data and those uploading it on websites, or you even publicize that website that this is where the information is, so that people can process this information. Because some Ugandans buy labor to come and find out, get information prior to starting these exports. That's why I told you'll have a lot of inquiries. They come because you find someone is coming from Mbarara or Gulu coming to Entebbe International Airport.
You can imagine.
To explain to him about how things are supposed to be done. And I think we need to play our role as stakeholders in this business, in this export part of it, so that we can make people aware about this.
Richard, to me, what bothers me, not only just the person having to travel all the way from Kisoro and Mbara to come down to go to Entebbe and ask DAS how things are. The reality about it is that you have different stakeholders, key stakeholders of this economy, rallying, supporting, and pushing people. This is like a song right now. It is like preaching. It is the gospel right now. Telling every Ugandan, we have this opportunity to give pineapples, to Saudi Arabia. We have this opportunity to supply ABCD. Our matoke is the best here and there. So this is where they get activated and say, you know what, I have a couple of acres that are lying idle. Let me tap into this. And this is not only just on the media houses such as this. It is in the news every day. It's in the newspapers every day. So you have Ugandans who are really aware and want to tap into it. The challenge is they do not have any information on their fingertips. They don't know who to run to in regards to that information. And even those ones who are meant to actually come down and help them do not seem to be well at breast, do not seem to know exactly what to do. Give us just a hint on how some of these solutions, the solutions towards these gaps, can be in the short term and in the long term, just as we wrap up. Short term, what should be done? Long term, Richard, what should be done?
For the short term, it is, I think you are doing a great job as Smart 24 TV.
Thank you.
Inviting people like us to come here, explain about this and the challenges we go through and how we can improve. But when it comes to this short term, we are talking about sharing of critical information about these shipments, about export processes, about how to deal with the entire chain from post-harvest activities, transportation, and then deliver at the airport, and even connecting from airport to its final destination. This information should be shared.
Yes.
And when you share the information, then you will have started the process of improving. We need also to improve about the post-harvest activities. And this is supposed to be done by production officers at the district level,
Yes.
even sub-county levels. Because they know who is farming at a large scale on a commercial value, who is doing subsistence farming, and how do we collect for those ones who are doing subsistence farming with the other?
Yes.
How do we compromise the two and produce something good? Then, as a country, they should also look at the vehicles called refrigerated vehicles.
Yeah.
These refrigerated vehicles, maybe I need to learn more, but they are tax-free. They are tax-exempted. And maybe a country should put measures of how to reduce on the prices of these vehicles and the process of acquiring them.
Yes.
So as we improve on the transportation of these sensitive products, but very marketable. As you were saying, the sweetest pineapple is from here.
Yeah.
So why don't we market it
Yes.
and go through the right processes? Then in terms of long term, when we go into long term, we are looking at trainings.
Yeah.
Conducting trainings because it has a bigger budget.
Yes.
As I told you, we have an aviation school as does handling, and aviation school also caters most of this perishable cargo, which can effectively help shippers, exporters at that particular level. So maybe in the long term they can invest in this. It can be through the stakeholders, the Uganda Promotional Export. They can facilitate these trainings, and we conduct these trainings. We shall also be getting business as does handling.
Yes.
So mainly, I think those are
some of them.
Some of them.
Do you know why I asked this, Richard? One, it is because not only is this opportunity being hyped, yes, every time, and knowing how Ugandans are normally setting themselves up to be able to tap into some of these opportunities. It is the fact that the moment you say to the Ugandan who is watching out there that you know what, there is a lot of katali for your avocados. You can see the fever, the Hass avocado fever that has taken grip. When you come up and say your fene that is rotting down there, someone in Mexico wants it, the fever will go on. You have seen the same come up with macadamia nuts, with vanilla, with this and this. However, it is a virgin opportunity waiting to be tapped. But the reality about it, and this is one of the problems, the implementation in Uganda. We have to know what has been the challenge in the past. When we look at addressing that, then you know that each person who is coming into getting into the fever vehicle is going to come at least when they know that 30% or 60% of those gaps have been rectified. I want you to look at that person who is viewing us right now, Richard, and just say a final word so that that person who is interested in getting onto that fever vehicle, whether it is pineapples, whether it is green pepper, whether it is chilies, should be aware of some of these gaps and know what to do. Just look at them in just 2 minutes and give them some advice.
Doreen, it is a journey of improvement and consistent. We need to improve and be consistent. We're following the right processes.
Yes.
As I was explaining, these processes start from the farmers themselves to the shippers, whom I call exporters, and then to us as handlers at the airport, who are intermediaries between the airline and the shipper or the exporter. We need, yes, there is hope. There is hope that things can be better. As I told you, it is an improvement, a journey of improvement. And this journey, we need to walk it with all the stakeholders in this business. With a person who has an ambition of starting this business, do we have the right information for that person? He can access the right information, not from the airport, but from other channels. Then after getting the right information, does he know the right documentation which is supposed to be followed and how to acquire these documents, how to get these permits from the Ministry of Agriculture, the Fort Fresh, the airport part of it, the airline, how do you go through the whole entire process of even booking a shipment. It's not that you're going to get a shipment from your market, bring it to the airport, and then it is exported. It must go through these processes, and these processes must be followed. And all stakeholders, talk about the Ministry of Agriculture, talk about the Uganda Export Promotional Board, talk about the production officers at the district levels. They are supposed to be having this rate information at the tip of their hands, so as to help the farmers, as to help Ugandans, as to increase our export levels in this country.
And the potential is there.
And the potential is there. We have the potential. We have the best, but we have failed to process the best to meet the international standards.
Such a sad note. Such a sad note. Thank you so much, Richard. Mr. Murangi Richard Mpagi, Senior Cargo Supervisor, DAS Handling, has been giving us insight on Uganda's fresh produce rejections, analyzing gaps in infrastructure. That was our topic today on Business Insight. Thank you so much, Richard.
Well, thank you so much, Dory.
We look forward with a lot of optimism, knowing that maybe the next time we host you, there will be an improvement in this situation.
Hopefully we will have that improvement.
But it starts with the trickle down of information, the sharing of information. This has been Kemcha Doreen, Business Insight on Smart 24 TV. It's always a delight to have you. Get onto our social media handles. Let us know what you think. Which particular topics do you really want to know about? What are your particular reservations towards some that we have had before on Smart 24 TV? It's always a delight. Join us tomorrow, same time from 9 to 10. Thank you so much and have a blessed day.